Hello, today I'm going to demonstrate you how to integrate C# scripting support into your own application. I have placed a demo project on the GitHub and you can download it from there using your own favorite git clone utility. And basically in root directory we have Visual Studio solution which can be opened. I'm now using Visual Studio 2017. By default, Visual Studio will prevent modifying any C# code during debug session. And in order to do that one, we need to change Tools options and go to in the debugging configuration, scroll bit down, and there exists option enable edit and continue. That option needs to be disabled. Basically we are trying to achieve something similar to edit and continue, only the compilation itself will happen in the application, in your own application. Next step what we will going to do is set this project as a startup project, so it will basically launch our application. Like you see, it has as a very first line it has connect debugger, and let me put a couple of breakpoints over here and over here. Let's start our application, and basically like you see it is running now test script, and I'll remove breakpoint from here and continue as such. Script host connect debugger is actually launching the main application, and now the next step what you see is actually that the same code is executed inside the script starter. If you check the call stack, so you will actually see that it is script starter which is starting up and it's executing our own application, so it's basically the second time it is getting executed, but now currently from the different process. I will now continue the execution and we can see our own application window, and I'll try to put them next side by side with the Visual Studio. I'll try now to remove the breakpoint so it would be easier to see what is currently our test script is. And one approach is that we simply remove from here everything and leave here something like hello world. And now basically this is a quite simple script itself, and I'll do save it and notice the execution window after that one. So basically what just happened is that whenever I'm saving C# script, it is being compiled in the DLL itself and executed from our main application. So I could do a lot of different kind of saving over here and save the file, and it will get executed immediately. If I'm not so happy about new results interfering with the previous results, so what I could do is actually I could just clear the console from here and leave here again like hello world 4 and again save it. So whenever I'm changing code over here, it will clear the previous results and execute it immediately. And this is also code is also debuggable, so I can put the breakpoint, and what I could do is just simply save the file, and the breakpoint will reach immediately. And if you check it a bit deeper, so there exists like test script 7 which is being executed, and script starter exe is basically our main application, which gets C# script compiled and executed immediately. If I'll save it again, so I'll get already test script 8, so that is some running number which is incremented all the time. Basically, this approach will flood application itself, because the previous assembly is not released from the application. So this eats RAM, and at some point of time when it consumes too much RAM, you will get out of memory exception. But this is at the moment is a limitation of .NET platform itself, and I hope that it will be the situation will be improved at some point of time in the .NET framework itself. Let's now continue running, and now I would like to also to demonstrate you how the error handling is working over here. So basically we could just mistype some error in the script itself and save it, and as a result we get the compilation error, but currently error is reported by the application itself because compilation is happening over there. It's also possible to get all those error information back to the Visual Studio itself, and this is something I might improve later on in future. But at the moment the application itself is compiling that C# script, and the error also is reported by the application itself. Also now I could actually stop the debugging, but like you see, the application itself is not closed, and the reason for that one is basically because this test script performing something similar to debug attached to process. So with the C++, it's actually possible to configure the project itself to automatically attach to some process, but with C# you always need to use debug and attach to process, which is a bit difficult to use. So instead of doing that one, we have here basically script host connect debugger, which is performing something similar. So if I'll start now debugging again, so for the same C# script, you will probably notice that we did not launch the second application, we only attach it to existing process. One approach, if you want still to kill this application, you could use debug terminate all, so then it will shut down the application itself. So, but typically you just attach it to existing process and continue developing code as such. This actually speeds up quite heavily development process, since you just can quickly prototype, so whatever code is over here, and continue with the same continue with development without shutting down the application itself. So I could write like simple loop over here and just print out. So for example I could write for example 10 times slash and continue as many times as I'm saving, it will also automatically execute it. So if you want to actually see where those DLLs gets compiled, so you could just run as and go into temp folder, and C# script host is the folder name. Here you will see process specific folder name and a lot of DLL compilation inside this. So DLLs are used by the application itself, and PDBs are used by the Visual Studio Debugger. And all of those DLLs and PDB becomes locked. Um, so DLLs by the application itself, so because of .NET assembly load, and PDBs becomes locked by the Visual Studio, so those are debug symbols to be able to debug those DLLs. If we don't have Visual Studio itself running, so those PDBs could be deleted as well, but not DLL at the moment, unfortunately. Currently, application itself will clean up all those temporary compilations once it's started. But of course, you need first to shut it down and then launch it again. So in order for those DLs and PDBs to get deleted. So like you see, so that folder was emptied, and now we have new folder coming up and new compilation again. Similar kind of technique exists in JavaScript or web development, and if you try to Google, so you could actually just try to type JavaScript hotreload, and you will find description of how the system works actually. And I find it quite astonishing technology, so it can really boost up developers' performance. I have already tried to use C# scripting for developing Visual Studio extension. The project layout is slightly different in there, so I have the Visual Studio extension, then I have a standalone application which is actually performing debug attach of Visual Studio to the Visual Studio debugger, and then I have there also C# script itself. C# script itself has this kind of special syntax for being able to reference another DLL assemblies, and it has special kind of syntax for being able to include another C# script within the project. So basically this kind of tags completely corresponds to what is configured in C# project references, and also what kind of files are included in there. I can try to start up the custom Visual Studio with C# scripting support. So at the moment the second Visual Studio will start with the experimental instance tag, and as an output I will use the normal Visual Studio output panel. So basically I could perform some mistakes here in the C# script, save it, and actually we don't have console in the Visual Studio itself, but we have output panel, and which can actually pretty much display the error itself, so where they are happening. And this is a bit puzzling scenario in overall, because I can just do the double click and it will open the same kind of C# script from the second Visual Studio, and actually you could try to correct the script, C# script from here, but basically in your own application you don't necessarily have the full scale editor and output panel as we have it in Visual Studio itself. Thank you for watching, and if you have any question, you can either put some comment below the video or send me email directly. I will attach a link to GitHub project as well as my email in the video info itself.